In a clip that has just gone viral, President William Samoei Ruto in a speech praised himself. The courage of Jomo Kenyatta, the knowledge of Moi, the education of Mwai Kibaki. And this was in the backdrop of one of the biggest, most disgusting scandals in the history of Kenya, where billions have been lost in a government portal called eCitizen. Now I'm feeling the heat around me as temperatures are rising amongst you very rapidly. Just at me reminding you about this viral clip. But please, control your emotions a minute so that we may find something to take home with us from this. Something to learn. You see, I'm a student of life. I am such a keen student of life that I even learn new stuff about myself every day. Being a student of life can do many great things for your life. It can save your life. It can help you have a better life when you understand. Understanding is key, and you cannot understand without being a student all the time. Now, maybe somebody needs to remind the president that great people do not announce they are great. They do not detail to the people how great they are. No, that doesn't happen. And something else, great people do things for other people other than themselves. They do something which impacts many, many lives, so that long after they're gone, people remember so and so, and the wonderful things they did, and the gift they were to this world. I don't know if you know this, but you were born to be a gift to this world. And you'll become a gift to this world the minute you understand what you are supposed to do, not for your immediate family, not for yourself, but for other people. And when you start doing that thing for other people, you'll become the gift God intended from before you were born. That is a mystery, a secret of life. That is important. From the minute I discovered that secret, not too long ago, just the other day, my life has never been the same again. And now the bad news for those people who like to be praised. Many times when you're a gift to others, you may need to be so patient before anybody recognizes it. Indeed, many, many people who are gifts to us leave this world of the living, and it is only after they're gone that people realize, Allah, kumbe I had a gift in my hands and I didn't realize it, and now it's gone. Gone forever. You know, since my late wife left us, I have come to the realization that she was a gift from the Most High. The more I meet other people, the more I realize that I had a gift in my hands and I didn't know. I was totally unaware. I wish I had treated that gift better. Not that I treated her badly, but I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. And so, President Ruto, if you're a gift to others, other than your immediate family, wait for people to acknowledge it. And you'll need to be patient. Ken Matiba was a gift to the Kenyan people. We never realized it until it was too late. Dedan Kimathi was a wonderful gift to the nation called Kenya. We're only waking up to that realization now, many, many decades after he's gone. Selfless Masinde Muliro was yet another gift to the Kenyan people, and to this day, Kenyans have still not realized. Lawyer Gitobu Imanyara, who is still alive, has done so much for the nation called Kenya. He was bang in the middle of the second liberation. He is a wonderful gift to the nation called Kenya. As I speak to this day, Kenyans have still not realized this gift the Most High bestowed upon Kenyans. And I can go on and on, but let's get on with the show now. What? My apologies for getting carried away. Now, this eCitizen Manenos is very, very important. And Kenyans must understand what this is, because it is something so, it is something so terrible. It is a horror movie that every Kenyan must understand. Now, of course, the problem here is that thing called mathematics. You know what I mean? Many of us were not good in mathematics in school. And indeed, I can understand to date that many of us, when we start seeing numbers, we start feeling dizzy. And we get confused and we're not interested. And it is all boring. Because eCitizen is all about figures. Billions and billions of taxpayers' money that just vanished. Poof! Gone. Now don't worry, I'm going to break this down so that we all understand. Even if you didn't like maths and still don't like maths, you'll get it. Okay? Just be patient. And let us start this story of eCitizen right from the beginning. 1963, when Kenya got its independence. Oh yes, that's where we have to start. And let me start with a question. What do you think Jomo Kenyatta and company were thinking as they settled down into State House? Final independence is here. Uhuru imefika. What are we going to do with this thing called Uhuru? What are we going to do for our people? What are we going to do for the nation called Kenya? What do you think was at the top of their mind? The answer to that question will shock you to your bones. And it is the following. There is too much evidence to suggest that at the top of their mind was how to survive in power. And number one on the list of concerns were threats to the presidency of Jomo Kenyatta. And don't forget, we are talking about eCitizen. Oh yes, I'm serious. And it was quickly realized that one of the biggest threats to the presidency was the rich people still living in Kenya, most of them Zungus. And indeed it is true, money can destabilize anything. Money from outside can destabilize a happy marriage. Money can destabilize a government, a presidency. The simple solution, use what we have to get what we don't have. In other words, the birth of corruption. In other words, surround the presidency with very rich people. And if those rich people don't exist, create them. And so people around the president suddenly became very, very wealthy. Now, crafty Jomo had one very strict rule. Nobody was supposed to get involved in business. And this rule extended to his own immediate family. And of course, it was disobeyed. The temptation was too much. Because we know First Lady Mama Ngina Kenyatta got involved in a lot of businesses without the knowledge of Jomo. He'd have been furious. But then it helped a lot that he was an old man sleeping in and out of comas. And history will record that these businesses skyrocketed at around the time that the president's health started deteriorating very rapidly. And so Jomo stayed out of businesses, but he didn't stay out of shambas. And he did not stay out of getting a percentage ownership from virtually every foreign investment that flocked into Kenya at the time. And the same threat was quickly recognized when the second president of Kenya, Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, took office. But this time round, there were no rules. And so those who were close to the president started owning businesses, doing business even as they were in government, and doing business between their private companies and the government. Corruption went a notch higher. And it was in the latter years of this presidency that entrepreneurs emerged. Young people who found new ways of doing very lucrative business with the government. People like Jacob Juma, Cyrus Njirongo, Jimmy Wanjigi, and many others. But it was the second generation of these entrepreneurs that have done real damage to the country called Kenya. Because as we speak, they have gone digital. And that is what this eCitizen Manenos is all about. Fleecing the government digitally. Yani you sit down in a computer and you punch in figures and billions leave the government for your offshore accounts That is what is happening. And to understand this better, we need to know that it is very similar to stealing elections. How are elections stolen in Kenya? They are stolen digitally. Somebody sits on a computer, punches in an algorithm, punches in figures, and the loser becomes the winner. Now, if anything I've said so far has shocked you, you need to know mambo bado. I'm about to say other things that will really shock you. But before I do that, let's take a short trip to Naivasha, courtesy of our sponsors. Have you ever been on the road between Naivasha and Nakuru? During the day, it is pure magic. There are points where you'll be able to get a very good view of Lake Naivasha, Lake Elementaita, and the mountain ranges around, as well as the floor of the Rift Valley. Beautiful, magical. Would you believe that the sponsors for our show today are offering land which is only 7.2 kilometers away from the Great Rift Valley Lodge, a site where you'll be able to enjoy all this magical view. And this land is perfect for a hotel, a lodge, anything to do with hospitality, but can also be used for agriculture. And amazingly, it is going for only 1.5 million Kenya shillings per acre. Yeah, you can see details on your screens right now. Use that number for WhatsApp and get in touch immediately in case you're interested, and turn your dream into a reality. Friends, amid all the chaos, Kenya is still a very beautiful country. Anyway, let's proceed. Now, yesterday, the government made a very poor attempt to defend itself through the PS Treasury, Dr. Chris, who appeared before a parliamentary committee and told Kenyans no money had been lost to the best of his knowledge. Now, you know, apart from the body language, which gave him away, I mean, you go back to that clip, look at his body language. The man knows what is going on, definitely knows. But apart from that, he said something that caught my attention. He said that he wishes that they had been given an opportunity to present documents, in other words, to defend themselves against this auditor's report. Now, what does an auditor do? I know not all of us are in accounting, but I know many of us have had the experience of having an auditor in the office. When the auditor is looking through the books, they always ask, "Wapi risiti? Where is the documentation for this? Where is this?" Isn't that correct? And therefore it goes without saying that when this government auditor was doing their job, they asked the same questions. So now we need to ask, why were those documents not presented when the auditor was there doing their job? Why? We are tempted to speculate that those documents were not there. They were manufactured later, until proven otherwise. And this eCitizen heist is very disgusting and crazy, because we know that the government has been very aggressively getting all government services to be on that eCitizen. In other words, they have been making every effort to ensure that all monies collected by the government goes pop into eCitizen. Billions and billions of Kenya shillings. And not only that, we know that the rates have gone up. The rates for everything has gone up. They even started charging for ID cards, something so basic, 1,000 shillings, 2,000. And there are millions of Kenyans who lose their ID cards every day. There are millions of other Kenyans looking for IDs. Kumbe somebody was just doing calculations of the money that will be coming in. Not money to help Kenya because we're still borrowing like there's no tomorrow, left, right and center. No! Money to come in to go into people's pockets. You know, I cannot help seeing the same telltale signs in this eCitizen scandal as we witnessed in the infamous Finland scholarship scandal. Remember that one? Involving the county officials of Uasin Gishu County. Remember that one? Which has still not been resolved. Yani, how evil has corruption gotten? Whereby you create ways of collecting money from poor Kenyans. And then, on the back end, that money is being siphoned off. It is being stolen. Hey, how evil can you be? You know, with this eCitizen scandal, there is only one simple question that needs to be asked. Where have those billions gone? Because you can give us documentation that the money went here and there, pure fiction. But that kind of money, if it was injected into the Kenyan economy, it would have been felt. So we want to know, where did those billions go? Where? If that question is answered, then we just might start believing that this documentation that has appeared magically at the 11th hour, when the whole nation is up in arms, we might just want to look at that documentation, and we might just want to half believe and maybe give it the small element of doubt, although I doubt it. This is a heist, nothing less. Nothing less. And it is very unfortunate for this government, because I can tell them something for free. This eCitizen manenos will not go away. Kwa sababu wa Kenya wamesoma. We have accountants, we have auditors, we have people who understand figures without getting dizzy, like some of us. We have expertise. And therefore this scandal will not go away. That money must be accounted for. And if it went into people's pockets, Kenyans have a right to know which pockets that money went to. And it is very interesting that former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua recently had something very interesting to say about the cash that is being collected by eCitizen. And now it is up to the government to prove to us that Rigathi Gachagua does not know what he's talking about. Because Bwana Gachagua told us that some people receive some certain cut from every single cent that goes into the eCitizen account, which is very interesting, because in the G2G deal for importing fuel into Kenya, we were also reliably informed that a certain percentage of every single liter of fuel you buy does not go to the government, it goes into somebody's pocket. So the burden of proof is for the government to prove to us conclusively that all that is not true. Oh God Almighty, help Kenya. Now very quickly, before I go in my previous video, I spoke about legend patriot Thomas Joseph Odhiambo Mboya, or simply Tom Mboya, and what happened to this Kenyan, and how he was sold by his foreign masters. I am sure I've piqued the interest of many of you by mentioning details on Tom Mboya, okay? And therefore I'd like to offer my epic, classic documentary titled Mboya, It Was More Than an Assassination, which has all this information, super fascinating information. And I'm going to throw it into my very latest offer, the Mutula ebook, on how Mutula was murdered and why. You see, they're connected, because the skill set that took Mutula's life was not locally available. It is still not locally available. I'm sure you get my meaning. So I'm going to throw in this epic documentary, one of the best I've ever done. Very detailed. Even gives you the name of the shooter, which I believe nobody else has. Okay? It took me over 15 years of research on and off to get the information in this documentary. Okay? So I'm going to throw it into this current package that has the Mutula book, videos linked to that ebook, as well as 2 special reports very relevant to what we're discussing here. And the price for that is only Kenya shillings 19.99. And therefore I urge you to take advantage of this offer. It is definitely not going to be there for a long time. This is highly sensitive information. You can see details on your screens right now. Just use the usual telephone number or use that email address for PayPal, and you'll have this information pop in your inbox. Please don't forget to text me your email immediately after payment. the things happening in the motherland. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.